This is called A New Jersey Tale, and it was written by Steve Schmidt. The incomparable Maureen Dowd sat down with former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie to talk about Trump, who remains incomprehensibly misunderstood. Chris Christie understands him. For instance, I don't think he's ever gone up against somebody who knows how to do what he does. He's never run against somebody from New Jersey who understands what the New York thing is and what he's all about. For people like me who've grown up here and lived my whole life in this atmosphere, he's just one of a lot of people I know who have that personality. He knows I know what his game is, referring to Trump. No truer words have ever been spoken. That was a quote from Christie. New Jersey is a tougher place than New York. Watching a New Jersey governor crumble in front of a New York asshole and kiss his small and feral hands was an abomination in the long story of indignities visited on the Garden State by the Empire State. Every true blue New Jerseyan had the same reaction, which was some version of, "What the fuck?" When it comes to New York, the indignities never end. Below is a case from PolitiFact. The story represents one of Chris Christie's finest hours while showcasing the terribleness of his latter submission to New York assholery. Chris Christie vetoed the so-called Snooki subsidy for the production of The Jersey Shore, the TV show, which was really a show about New York dregs living down the shore. Christie didn't like it and called it out. Everyone in New Jersey, from the boss on down, was misty-eyed. Think about it. The Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, and the Jets and Giants are all from New Jersey. New York stole them, and in return, they sent these people, who are all clearly New Yorkers, to further break the spirit of New Jersey. Mike, the Situation Sorrentino, was born in Staten Island, but grew up in Manalapan. His publicist said Sorrentino still lives in New Jersey, but he also conducts business in Miami. Jenny J-Wow Farley also grew up in New York, but now lives within Jersey's borders, according to an MTV spokesperson. Vinny Guadagnino, Ronnie Magro, and Nicole Snooki Polizzi are from New York, Rhode Island. New York. Rhode Island native Paul Delvecchio is the only cast member from outside the tri-state area. An MTV spokesperson declined to comment on Christie's remarks, but Polizzi spoke with the Star-Ledger in Austin in August. She said then, quote, "It's the Jersey Shore. We're not trying to represent Jersey. Even if you're from Africa, we're going to come here." End quote. Indeed, and so it was. New Jersey's many indignities didn't just happen. It took a lot of compromising along the way. Margaret Kemple was a Jersey girl who broke bad. She married up to get out. Every Jersey guy knows the type, just as every Jersey girl knows her Chris Christie. Anyway, Margaret Kemple returned to the colonies as Mrs. Gage, whose husband was up to no good, to say the least. He had a plan in April of 1775. It was a good one, except for one thing. Every detail was known to the rebelling patriots of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. The King of England told General Gage they were going to bring massholes into line. Tensions were exceedingly high. The Sons of Liberty had thrown 90,000 pounds of Chinese tea leaves owned by the British East India Company into Boston Harbor. The British were enraged and refused all considerations of accepting recompense for the tea. Punishment, not compromise, was the prevailing wind of the day. A heavily armed British fleet set sail to restore the affection of His Majesty's subjects for their king. Gage's plan involved sending a British force of 700 light infantry and grenadiers to Concord, Massachusetts, where they were to seize gunpowder, guns, and arrest Sam Adams and John Hancock. The colonists were ready. It seems General Gage's most intimate spaces, conversations, and plans were compromised. The mystery endures through this very day. Who was the American spy who determined the battles of Lexington and Concord? It is almost certainly Margaret Gage. In the end, the Jersey girl sided with America. Perhaps she sensed that she would be judged one day like the boss is righteously judging Chris Christie. Maureen Dowd described Christie's relationship with Springsteen, his idol, as, quote, shattered over his stint as Trump sycophant, end quote, while Christie said it was, quote, a work in progress, end quote. Let's just say that even if the boss was the most beneficent of men, in the most magnanimous of moods, Chris Christie has a lot of penance ahead. But there is hope. In the end, Margaret Kimball turned good, and so can Chris Christie. She turned good like a pork roll can make a summer morning good. She turned good when America needed her most. Now it's Christie's turn to make his turn from bad to good. He broke bad, did bad, was bad, but he has taken the exit, is rounding the jug handle, picking up speed with the steely confidence that says he's making the light no matter fucking what, because he's headed to a fight, albeit 7 years later, but who's counting? Traffic can be slow on the turnpike, and forget about it on the bridges. Each American state is unique, and each makes a vital contribution to the Union. The hour has come for Chris Christie to measure up. His destiny is at hand, because it's going to take a New Jersey asshole to beat one from New York. The hour is long past when someone needs to tell something directly in a language that he understands. The great mystery of this age is why so very few people have attempted the feat. The simple truth is that Trump has only been directly confronted with reality on a handful of occasions by real journalists like Savannah Guthrie and Jonathan Swan. Trump thrives on weakness. He devours it. His opponents have been soft and non-aggressive. Each one has been a bigger patsy than the next. For whatever reason, Christie didn't brawl. He flattened Marco Rubio and almost made him cry on national television, but that was low-hanging fruit. He gets no respect for that in New Jersey. It's always reminded me of the Seinfeld episode when Kramer is doing karate with the children. Now Christie is ready, and he is just in time, because the only thing between Donald Trump and the MAGA nomination is Chris Christie. Importantly, Christie provides the only real drama and entertainment value in the whole dreadful spectacle ahead. The nation is being threatened by a fascist faction of cynics, grifters, performance artists, sociopaths, seditionists, weirdos, and opportunists who are stultifyingly tedious and mendacious. They deserve constant confrontation and belittlement. Otherwise, we all become hostages who are yoked to their delusions, musings, and lies. Chris Christie is the disruption that is as obvious as it is overdue. Someone is finally going to explain how full of shit all these people are on a presidential debate stage. The messenger, like all messengers, will be hugely imperfect, but he's capable of generating a couple of perfect moments of humiliation served up deliciously cold to the most loathsome president in American history. That's a good thing, because it is a necessary thing. Ineffectual doesn't begin to describe the pathetic state of affairs when it comes to calling out the shameless absurdity of Donald Trump and his vicious cause. Let's hope Christie is ready to fight like Chuck Wepner, the Bayonne bleeder. All right. That is from Steve Schmidt. God, I love the way he writes. I love the way he writes. New Jersey going to whip the ass of Donald Trump. We can hope. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.